Hello everyone, my name is Adam Michael Anthony Simpson and you're watching my YouTube channel, Adam M.A. Simpson. And this is the part 2 of my interview with Fola and Solomon. I hope you enjoy. Stay tuned. Okay, so we're gonna go into the second half of this interview, which is to address your both of your co-president positions in the Stanford Black Engineering Graduate Student Association. This is a association that I've interacted with throughout my PhD here at Stanford, and I really think the association is doing some good work to help diversify the graduate student pool at Stanford, particularly for Black engineers, but not only Black engineers. You also help out with first gen and Latinx students trying to get a graduate education at Stanford through the SERGE program that you collaborate with the School of Engineering. So let's get into it. So in this section, we'll address how the Stanford BEGSA, that's a Black Engineering Graduate Student Association, will nurture Black engineers both on campus and nationally, and potentially internationally. I've always admired the executive board of the BEGSA and the great work that they've done through outreach and mentorship initiatives. For example, the SERGE program, which is Stanford Exposure to Research and Graduate Education, I mentioned earlier. I understand that the pandemic has affected many of these initiatives. So what do you have in store for the greater community for the rest of the year?
Yeah, if Fola is fine with that, I could go first.
Of course, please go ahead.
Sure. So yeah, like you rightfully said, the pandemic has been a huge problem for all of these initiatives, but we found a way to work around this. For instance, in the case of SERGE, this year we adapted a virtual format, and as a result of the virtual format, we're able to accommodate more people, about 2 times the typical capacity of students that we would invite to Stanford. As a result, we're able to also, broaden our reach to students that would typically not know about the existence of grad school programs. And in addition to that, this year we introduced a new angle to SERGE, where we develop a mentorship program. So following your attendance of SERGE, we sort of pair you with graduate student mentors that help you through your application process, provide you with valuable feedback, help you edit your essays, help answer questions that you have as you navigate the waters of grad school applications. So that's one of the key initiatives and one of the key extensions of our previously existing initiatives that we've tried to adapt during this pandemic situation.
Awesome. And so I know that addressing what you just said about that mentorship program that you've developed this year, what do you have in store, not only for prospective students, but mentorship and guidance for current students at Stanford, Black engineers?
That is a really fantastic question, and I think I'll take a shot at that. So first of all, we think it's really important that grad students, current grad students, especially at Stanford, have a good purview of opportunities that are out there in industry, and that the industry is also aware of the amazing and brilliant work that a lot of our grad students are doing. And then also we find that sometimes, you're in your own little space, in your own lab, doing your own thing, and you don't really know about what's just out there across campus and all the amazing work that people so proximal to you are doing. So one of the things that we have planned for this quarter and through the end of the academic year are student TED Talks. So we're going to be asking, students to nominate someone that they think they'd like to hear from. And then from that pool, select speakers for a series of research talks. And then we're also planning collaborations with industry as well. So they hear what students are working on and have to offer, and also students get to hear what in various industry partners are working on, the opportunities that there are out there, and then giving the status of just the situation of the world right now, and especially here in the US, we think wellness is really important, and we more than ever are trying to foster a sense of community. So just being able to get together, virtually, and kick back and relax, but also, promote wellness within our community is super important. And so we also are looking at planning co-exercise events like yoga, mindfulness, and also we're going to be shooting out a bunch of resources. So these are some of the initiatives that we have planned for this quarter, and we're working through many more. The pandemic definitely presents a huge limitation, but also an opportunity for us to stay connected and build on these connections and foster engagement with the community.
Awesome. I love the TED Talk aspect. I think that's one thing, maybe in my department, that we could improve upon is having a student speak publicly. And I think that's a great way to kind of also foster the, professional development of students. Yeah. That's a very cool thing. Are you both currently recruiting future executive board members?
Of course, we're taking nominations. We plan to officially start recruiting over the spring, but we're currently taking open to nominations, both self-nominations and nominations from other people. But we will definitely put out an official announcement in the spring when we begin assessing people that will take on the new roles.
And what are you looking for in potential e-board members?
First off, a willingness to serve. Just knowing that it is bigger than you. You're here to serve the community. You're here to engage with the community. And a willingness to also listen. You want to listen to your other exec members. A team is stronger when you have people that listen to each other and work together towards achieving common goals. You want to build off of what other people say rather than shutting them down. So these are a couple of things that we'll be looking out for in nominees and people that are interested in taking on executive roles at BEGSA.
And what I'd add to that is, through my graduate experience, I have realized that putting yourself in those leadership roles helps with just learning certain administrative tasks that will help you professionally. So just putting that out there for potential e-board members for the BEGSA. I'm trying to get people involved in the org, helping you guys out. So I'm gonna move forward, and in a perfect world where resources are not an issue for Graduate Student Association, what initiative would you like to implement for our community at Stanford?
Is interesting. I'll take
Dream big.
I'll take a shot at that. If resources were not a problem, I think first of all would just be I would go crazy with like wellness initiatives because it's such a difficult time. It's hard to stay connected, and there's so much crazy things going on right now. There's a pandemic. There's, oh my gosh, it's so hard. A Black person in America, a Black person in the world, a Black person at Stanford. Couple that with all the things that go on in academia, you know, being able to take care of our own, especially Black women. Oh gosh, I would go crazy with the wellness initiatives and just make sure where everyone feels supported, the community feels supported, community feels heard, and the community feels loved. And then I think another thing would be recruitment. I think there's so much more we could be doing to improve recruitment from within the Black community here at Stanford. And so, you know, actively funding students to go to these conferences and really widen the net for recruitment into STEM here at Stanford would be another thing that I would just go crazy with. And one more thing would be engagement with the local community. I think there's so many students who want to do so much more and just don't know how, or are limited in resources or ability. And then there's, you know, there's such need. There's, you know, you can never do too much, right? And so creating, be it a fellowship or funding programs where grad students are able to volunteer or do community engagement type research, or, you know, go mentor some students, or however way you feel like you want to give back and engage with the local community, without funding being a limitation, I think would be something that I would invest in, or I think we would invest in as an initiative at BEGSA. Those are, I think, a few examples of things we would definitely be doing, or we could be doing, were we to have more funding.
I like that. And I'd like to add, you know, with the funding for those initiatives, also providing recognition to students that do the work.
Yeah.
Recognition and potentially compensation.
Pay them. Yes. Pay them.
Yes. Yes.
We pay our people, or at least we would love to.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Students should be compensated for the work that the extra work that they do. So, oh yeah, and I forgot to say that it's commonly referred to as BEGSA and not BEGSA. Is there any way for the association to receive funds so that you may work towards these initiatives? This is a very difficult question to answer, but
it is. Actually, it's interesting that you ask, because it's something we've been talking about and working at in the last couple of months. So we put together a funding proposal, and it's ready right now, but there is a university policy where you can only get trained to receive external funding, because there's some constraints and you need some special training to do that, I believe. I may just, that's my understanding, and that training only happens in the spring. We as an e-board, I think, began in summer. So there's that, and then you need to like put together your funding package and get it done by December. So what we're planning on doing is we have, you know, our proposal ready, the template is ready for the next e-board, and our financial officer, Crystal, who does amazing work, is gonna do the training in the spring. And so our e-board is able to be a resource for the next one, so that they're able to, you know, apply and try to get more external funding, and hopefully that they can then start to do more with BEGSA in future years.
That's good to know. So I was the financial officer for
nice.
For the BGSA. That's not the engineering, just the general
grad
Black
student.
Yeah, Black Graduate Students Association. And that was one thing that I found interesting. And so I put that question in here because I want whoever watches this, please fund the BEGSA or the BEGSA and other Black associations at Stanford, because they do a lot of good work. So please help the community out. I put that in there to help y'all.
Send us those checks.
Yes. Yeah. And then I'm going into my last question, which is my favorite question for both of you. What misconceptions of graduate school would you like to dispel for students interested in applying to graduate school?
It's an excellent question. I could go first.
Of course.
I want to say, when people apply to grad school, people tend to focus a lot on the numbers. What do you present in terms of your GPA, your test scores? I want to say that people should try to focus less on that and more on your story. Like, what exactly is compelling you to apply to grad school? And when you figure out a story that is compelling and interesting, cohesive, so adequately brings together all of your projects and ties them to what you're trying to do, essentially you connect the dots. You connect the dots properly. I think the graduate school application process and review process is more holistic than people understand. Having an application packet that shows you as a person, shows your challenges, shows what you plan to do in the future is often not spoken that much about. I think that's one thing that people should understand when applying to grad school. Another thing they should really think about and know is that getting into grad school and doing grad school is very different from undergrad. I find that a lot of high-achieving undergraduate students get into grad school and realize that grad school is just riddled with failures. Like, you must learn to fail and learn from your failures, and that's something I think people should bear in mind when applying to grad school. Fola, do you want to add something?
Oh boy, I think you made some excellent points. I would just like to piggyback off of that and say there is no ideal grad student. So don't hold yourself back. You look inside you and tell your own story in the most powerful way possible. The only difference between you and the next person who seems so great, whose application in your mind is perfect, is how they tell their story. So there's so much power to storytelling is one thing. And then another thing that I'd say is there's just this misconception that grad school is school. It's actual work. Research is works like a full-time job. You're like a student and a full-time worker
full-time job. It's like more than 40 hours a week.
Right. There's people who do research for a living. Like, I was reading this article the other day that says 60% of researchers actually work in industry, and only about 40% of researchers are in academia globally. And so it is such a fantastic skill set to have. You're not wasting your time. It can go on your CV as actual work. And like I said, it's how you tell your story, right? Communicate all the skills and all your projects, all the things that you've learned and all the things that you've done. It's such an enriching experience. And then always remember that your graduate school experience is what you make of it. So really just take the time to be present and take advantage of the full opportunity, and just make sure that you're living all the while through it. You're not putting off your life, you're living your life even while in grad school. So enjoy every moment of it and be present and make the most of every opportunity.
It's a very unique time in your life where you're surrounded by so many minds, and so many opportunities to like develop yourself. And so I agree with what both of you had to say, and it's like a common thing that I think most students that answer that question on the channel say. It's like, in a sense, focus on the story, and it's like a holistic. Getting into graduate school is more holistic than just grades.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's so. Yeah, I thought this interview was very interesting, and you guys really are very impressive.
I've had so much fun chatting with you.
Yes, I had fun too.
Thanks.
All right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So have a great day, and hopefully see each other soon when all this pandemic stuff is gone, and you know, we can finally be together in person. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
We can grab a coffee when that happens.
Yes. All right. Awesome. See you later.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching this episode with Fola and Solomon, the co-presidents of the Stanford BEGSA. That's a Black Engineering Graduate Student Association. Please like and subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and stay tuned for next week for more amazing and interesting videos.